G'day YouTubers. This episode is a continuation of the previous episode. After I did the Kaptain Neilsen, I went over to Curtin and had a bit of a scan around there before heading up north of Moreton to the Coffee Rock Reefs. I'm just going to let this video from the sounder play through, put a little bit of background music on. This is the Curtain Artificial Reef. The GPS coordinates are up on the left hand side of the sounder screen. So when you see some structure that you'd like to have the coordinates of, just jot them down. You can see where the fish are holding around the structure. There's a few fish down there. It was midweek, so there was only a couple of other boats there. But my Minn Kota battery was flat, so I couldn't spot lock anywhere. Drifting the wrecks isn't a brilliant idea. If you're going over top of the wrecks, you'll get snagged for sure. If you're going to drift, you need to drift alongside the wrecks. So I just made this a trip to gather some sounder information rather than a fishing expedition to Curtin. I saved the fishing for further up north. Just do note though that I'm going extremely slow here, almost a drifting speed, just so I can get a good reading on the bottom and see all the detail where the fish are. If you don't want to look at these sounder shots, just skip through to 11 minutes into this video, or use the chapters in the video description to skip through to the pieces that you are interested in. I then headed up around the top end of Moreton to the Coffee Rock Reef off the north shore. That was well sheltered from the southeast wind and the idea was to play around there for the afternoon, find myself a good spot, get anchored up and ready for the dusk bite, which happened to coincide with the turn of the tide, the low. So I'd be fishing the dusk, the low, the incoming, and be able to put up plenty of burly to bring in the fish. That was the plan anyway. Given the extremely poor Solunar chart for the day, that was about the best I could come up with to get a reasonable chance of catching a fish during the trip. Got one. Oh, what are they? Got two. Oh dear. Not what I was after. Oh, he's a pretty fellow. This guy can go in the bait tank. Have some water in there, I think. Oh. There's something similar on this. Oh, already got a little grassy, is it? No. What are you? Oh, yeah. Well, you only just took two. Tusky. Yeah. Take that. Oops, crazy. Just fine. I got a big egg on you. Just stop flopping around and get it out. But that was the other one for me. How big are you? I think you're, well, I'm pretty sure you're legal. You are 32 and Tuskies are 30. So you're good. You're coming home for dinner. This video from the sonar is out on the Coffee Rock Reef at the north end of Moreton. I've given some marks for it in previous videos, and you've got the GPS coordinates up on the left hand side of the screen now. There's some structure down there, but there's also fairly flat areas which are just a mixture of rock and sand. It's always pretty clear, or most of the time at least, it's pretty clear up here, the water. You can see down 10 or 15 metres to the bottom, and you can see the rock on the bottom as the darker patches against the sand. If you're not interested in the sounder video of the area, you can use the chapter links down in the video description to skip past it, or just scroll through to around about 18 minutes and 17 seconds into the video.
Another one. Bad either. Little squirrel. Look, I'm just losing him into the bait, even if he is small. Yes. I lost a much bigger one than that at the bait before. You are 32, so you're safe. Another one. That's more like it. Oops, a daisy. What in the world have we got here? Nothing I want, nothing I can keep. Oh, little codley. He's a pretty fellow. You are a pretty fellow, aren't you? How big are you? 28. Got you this time again. Not real big. Oh, we've got another cod. This one might be a bit bigger. He is a bit bigger. Oh, another one of them. I'll get the pliers. This is getting a bit dangerous. Getting these hooks out.
I did a little bit of burleying while I was out there. I was holding back the main part of my burley for the dusk bite. I only just threw out a little bit during the afternoon. I was saving it for the dusk bite because out on the Coffee Rock Reef, you've really got to burley up to bring the good fish in. And when I say good, they're decent fish. I don't mind catching them, decent size tusky or even a decent size morwong. I know everyone frowns at them, but if you bleed them straight away and get them on ice, they're not bad eating. And of course, you always get a reasonable sized snapper out there. Mackerel frequent the area, sometimes tuna. They just need to burley up. As with most of the shallow Coffee Rock reefs, I know you don't catch a lot there unless you burley up pretty significantly, and that seems to bring them in and bring them on the bite. Anyway, that didn't happen at dusk. There's a reason for it. I'll talk about that towards the end of the video.
Oh damn, I thought my camera was on, it was off. Just got a nice little grassy. Rain spiked him. It's got a, what did he go, 40? Yeah, 40. Just bleeding now. Of that water, I don't know if you'll be able to see it in the video, but I can see little patches of coffee rock down there, and we're in 10, 11 metres of water. So clear up here. Alright, Gibson's going to clean up, and then I'll have to think about heading in because I've got no phone reception here, and I didn't tell my wife that I wouldn't be able to ring her, so I'll have to go in somewhere else tonight. I was going to spend the night out here. I'll probably have to go in at least as far as Tangalooma to get phone reception. And then it becomes a bit of a question of where I spend the night after that.
I mentioned in the video that I didn't have reception up there on my phone, and I always ring my wife around tea time just to let her know I've anchored up for the night and I'm safe. But because I didn't have reception on the phone, I thought I'd better head back to Tangalooma where I will have reception and give her a ring from there just to let her know I'm safe. I was a little bit annoyed about that because it was eating up fuel that I didn't want to spend. I had a plan for the trip, but better to do that than have her ringing VMR thinking I've sunk. Anyway, went back towards Tangalooma and still didn't have reception. I had a good look at the phone and it said emergency calls only. And I thought, what's going on here? Paid my bill. So anyway, I thought I'd better head home and try to make it home before my wife gets really concerned and rings up VMR. So that's what I did. I headed on home as fast as I could through the paddock. It wasn't the most pleasant trip because I was pushing it as hard as I could. I wanted to get home before it got dark. As it turned out, I just walked in the door about the same time she was thinking she should ring VMR and get them to check on me because she'd been trying to ring me, and because my phone wasn't working, those calls weren't going through either. So I talked to one of the boys later on and they suggested I turn the phone off and on because they said that happens sometimes. I turned the phone off and on and lo and behold, it started working perfectly. Could have spent the night out there. I probably did have reception all the way. Never mind. Lesson learnt. I won't fall for that trap again. Next time the phone plays up, turn it off, turn it on again, see what happens. As I said, I made it home before dark and before my wife phoned BMR. But by the time we'd unpacked the bait and put it all away, it was getting pretty dark and I had to fillet the fish by torchlight, which wasn't ideal. Still, we got a couple of feeds out of it. Anyway, that was the trip. The sonar was performing the same as it did in the previous video because it was the same trip. Since then, I've had the chance to tune it a bit. I am pretty confident that the sonar is going to perform a lot better on the next trip. That's a week or two away, so we'll see how that goes. Until then, good fishing.